Hello, welcome back to Reads of an Apple. My name is Stacy and I'm here to do a video I've never done before. A video I have definitely watched a lot of that other people do. And I thought I would share my take on how I track my reading throughout the year. So this is another video where you will be watching a screen capture of what I'm doing on my computer. And it will be slightly different because the first step isn't always how I deal with tracking my stuff, because what I usually do is I use my phone and my tablet at the same time, but I'm going to do it all on the computer just for ease of being able to easily screen capture what is going on. So we'll go over how I track my reading. So just kind of a brief overview. I use Google Forms, which you can then move the answers from your Google form into a Google spreadsheet. And so then I use mostly my spreadsheet. And then last year, I was constantly making monthly templates to just kind of keep track of what I'm reading, and I have like quick visual aids to help me when I'm filming videos, and when I was doing a lot more outside of just reviews on my blog, templates I could use for there just to kind of add something else in that wasn't just blocks of text. But this year I'm changing it up a little bit, and I made a digital planner, and this has some of the things that I've used in my spreadsheet, some of the different templates, plus some new ideas that I've been kind of percolating on after seeing a bunch. I watched a lot of reading journal flip-throughs and digital journal flip-throughs. And so yeah, we're going to flip through the digital journal I created. Now, technically, I do have an iPad. However, it's really old. It's from like 2014, I want to guess. So it's nothing fancy. I don't even know if an Apple Pen would work with it. So I know that there's good apps out there available on the iPad. However, I created it in Canva, and I'm just going to fill it out in Canva because that just seems to be kind of how I'm rolling this year. And some of the different things I added in are easily editable in Canva, and otherwise I would have to kind of change things up if I turned it into a PDF. But I'm very excited to start using it, and I wanted to go over all that with you. So let's switch over to my computer and we will go over everything I have in store for you. Okay, so we are back to my computer screen here. So let's just go over the Google form first, and then we'll go from there, and I'll show you once I finish a book. I haven't marked anything that I've read so far in January as read yet, so I'll go over an example with you what I kind of go through once I finish a book, and then we'll move on from there. So first off, here is Google Forms. If you haven't used it before, it is super easy. I used to use these for work when I worked for a landscaping company all the time. It's super easy to put together. As you can see, I have a copy here that is in my link tree. So if you'd like to make a copy of it in your own and make edits however you'd like to, feel free to do so. I keep it in my link tree year round, and then when the new year hits, I put it in the new link. I did make a couple changes this year. I just kind of fine-tuning. So this is the editing portion of where you add and change things, how you want things to look, and all of that. But I'm not really going to go over how to use Google Forms really too much, or how to put one together. So we're just going to look at the actual form. So when you are looking at your form, once you've created it, if you hit the eyeball up here, that is your preview button, and that pulls up the form as if you were to email it to somebody. You can share them on social media, however you want to do it. For me, I just leave my preview button open on my phone. And then once we submit, you will see there's an option to submit another answer, and I click that and it refreshes everything, and I just leave that tab open on my phone all year round. So here we go, super simple. We've got the title, author, and now these are the 3 things that I added just as an ease for myself. Main character names, series name, and series number if it applies. And then rating, I chose drop down box, so we've got all the half stars and a DNF. Date started, date finished. Format, paperback, ebook, audiobook, webcomic, and at any point throughout the year I can go through and edit and add and remove things as I need it. And this is also another new section for me that is new this year, and that is where located. So I've got physically owned, digitally owned, advanced reader copy, so an ARC, KU, Hoopla, Libby, and if I get a paperback from the library, I don't really get physical books from the library anymore, but I threw it in there just because you never know. And then own, want to own, or plan to buy soon / ordered, because sometimes I pre-order a book or I plan to buy it on release date and it has not arrived yet. But a lot of the times I will get the ebook, or I will be, or an audiobook or something like that, and I'll be able to start reading it before it shows up. Sometimes I finish the book before the physical copy shows up. So I wanted that to kind of differentiate, because I found a lot of the times, or if it's a book I really, really loved in an indie published book, and I just am waiting till my next payday to buy it because I want it right away, I wanted a spot to differentiate those from my want to owns when I compile the list and try and start adding it to my various wish lists. Then reread, just a simple, super simple, a checkbox, yes or no. Same for new to me author, and then number of pages, publication year, type of publication. We got indie, traditional, and small publisher. And then this is also a new section for me. If I know who I got the recommendation from, if it's from a friend, it's from a fellow booktuber or a bookstagrammer, I want to try to track where I'm getting recommendations if I can. And then I've got clubs and readathons. Now these are all ones that I've participated in the past. Some of them are finishing, some of them might not be around anymore, some of them I'm not participating anymore, but I just leave them there. And then I always leave an other option so I can hand type something in and then add it to the sheet later on, especially if it's like a readathon that's going on for a little bit longer. So I can handwrite that first one in, and then I'll go back in and edit the page so that I can select that option moving forward. So we've got readathons, book clubs, read-alongs, and then some Patreon clubs I'm a part of, so a lot of different options. Diversity I also have is, oh, that's weird, I didn't mean to leave the line here. Usually I don't put any description of what the title is, but that's fine. So this is just a checkbox. Once again, you can check more than one, and this is for diversity. We've got body diversity, LGBTQ, that should have a plus, persons with mental disabilities, persons with physical disabilities, POC author, POC main characters, and then once again an other in case I find something new. Another new section for me this year is character ages. I thought it would be interesting. So we've got young adult, new adult, 20s, 30s, 40s. I actually have, you'll see when we get to my reading journal, have added another section, and that's supernatural, because I read a lot of fantasy and paranormal books where they're just like millennia year old. So I needed another option, so I will have to get that added to my book log form. So like I said, it's constantly evolving, and I can just show you how I do that here real quick while I'm thinking about it, because otherwise I will forget until next time I come through. And I'll go ahead and add the plus while I'm here. Plus, okay, and all right, I need, so we will add an option, and super natural. And that's also like supernatural, immortal, that kind of a thing. All right, so then if we go back, and because I haven't filled anything out, we'll just refresh. Hey, look, it's all fixed. Then we've got genres, and I have a pretty pared down list. So I've just got contemporary, historical, paranormal, romantic suspense, sci-fi, urban fantasy, fan fiction, and normal fantasy. I have since moved romantic suspense under contemporary romance, so I do need to adjust that on this one. This is how I tracked it last year, but because I don't read very much romantic suspense, I feel like putting it under the contemporary romance catch-all and then as a sub-genre for there would work better for me. And then here is my what type of contemporary romance. So dark, holiday, office, new adult, normal, rom-com, small town, sports. A lot of the more common sub-genres when it comes to contemporary romance. Now these are a pick one, not a checkbox. I know that some of these, you know, you can get multiple ones, but I try to go with the most prevalent one and track it as there. So I will go ahead and clear this just so it's not funky next time I open it up. And we will, let's see, I did want to make that other small change here. So I'm going to remove romantic suspense. And then I will add in another here. Romantic suspense, and we will put that there so it's still alphabetical. Okay, so that is my book log, so the Google form that I use to track, to enter in when I have finished a book. So I will just kind of minimize this. Now, like I mentioned before, the way that I typically do this is I have the Goodreads app pulled up on my iPad, because the Goodreads app on my iPad and on tablets is so much better than the one on my phone. I get a lot more information from it. So typically I fill out the form on my phone and I have Goodreads, the Goodreads information pulled up on my tablet. Here, we're just going to do little side by side like this. No big deal. So we're going to go over, I've just left all these books as currently reading because I knew I wanted to film this. So the first book I read this year was Stolen by Her Bear. So I'll come through and say I'm finished. All right. And then here. All right. And if I do a half point, I try to always mark it, but it doesn't always happen. And then I have January 1st through January 2nd. Okay, post. And then I just go straight back to the book so we can see all of the information here. And then I just fill out by Her Bear, my form. So Felicity Heaton. And this is, I always do the woman's version, woman's name first. So this is Holly Ann Saint. This is Black Ridge Bears #1. And I gave this 4.5 stars. And I read this on, it's 2023 now. 1/2/2023. I read this as an audiobook that I got from my Hoopla library. And I want to own this series. I'm a big fan of Felicity Heaton, and so far so good on this one. She's not a new to me author. So then we've got 169 pages, and it was published in 2021. This is indie. And no, it wasn't as a recommendation for anything. I didn't read it for anything in particular. I know if you've seen my other videos, you know that I participate in like quarterly challenges and year-long challenges. Any books I read, for those challenges, I don't count because they're so long running, and I usually just try to pick up books as when I'm mood reading or just up for other book clubs and read-alongs and apply them to those prompts where they fit. So I very rarely pick up a book specifically for those challenges. So I don't have those set up in my like readathon things, just because they're also super long. And then that'd be every book I read this year would be technically for a reading, but because it's a reading challenge and not like a readathon, it's different, to me at least. No diversity in this. Character ages, they are supernatural, and this is a paranormal romance, and we are done with contemporary. So submit, and we are done. So as you can see, edit your response, submit another response. So typically I would come back here and submit another response. And then I just go back and do however many books I need to do. I try to do them at like minutes after finishing a book, unless I finish it in the middle of the night. Then I try to do it first thing in the morning, just so I can try to keep my dates correct and everything correct, at least on Goodreads, because then if I have to come back and fill out my book form later, at least I know the dates are correct on Goodreads, so then I can fill out that information easier later. So I'm just going to minimize this and pull this back up. So when we go back to forms, and once you have filled it out, when you're in the editing, like, master person who owns this, there will be a tab that has responses. And so here we can see one response already. It auto puts together some charts which are super fun, but I do find myself making changes, changing ratings, editing things if I type something in wrong or I miss something. So I don't usually just go off of that. But what is super important here is you want to select a response destination. And I, like every year, I create a new spreadsheet sheet, and this will put all of your responses into a Google Sheets form. So I'm just going to call it Book Tracking 2023 and create. And it is now, as you see down here in the bottom, spreadsheet linked. That means I don't have to do anything else. Every time a response is put into the Google form, it instantly shows up in the Google Sheet. So I'm going to minimize this, and I have my Google Sheets already pulled up here. So here it is. Me, created 6:51 p.m., Book Tracking 2023. And I'll just kind of show you what it looks like to start with. So we have timestamp. That's just something that happens on every Google Sheet, is your timestamp. For me, I just hide this. I don't need it. But I just hide the column so we don't have to worry about it. And then I like to kind of pare things down. And then the only change that I really make to the Google Sheet here from the responses page is after date started and date finished, I will add in how many days it took to finish the book. And this is just simple, and that equals, yep. See, and it knows what I'm going to do. Oh, that's weird. Okay. I2 minus H2. Okay, why are we being weird? Of course it's being weird. Delete. And make that smaller. So this equals this minus this. Oh, I see what happened. I put 003 here. See, already we're finding a discrepancy here. This is 2023, not the year 3. There we go. And I like to keep things centered, and I'll go through and kind of reformat things that I like, and I shrink columns down so it's not quite so spread out. And then the other thing that I add is I will add at the very end, just notes. So if there's anything else I need to keep notes on, or any other information that is different, if I read like a bonus epilogue or something from somebody and it's more than like a couple pages long, I will increase the page count, and then I'll put in the notes. I also read the bonus epilogue. It was 27 pages. That's why there's that discrepancy in the page count or something like that. So that is what it looks like. So this little form here, this little form icon means that it is still currently actively linked. So you never want to unlink it, because then you will have to relink it. But you can, if you're done submitting for the year, you can unlink form, you can resubmit it, but it will create a new sheet inside this file. So only do that when you're done and ready to kind of stop going on this one. Now, I still have to set up all of my stat stuff. So instead, I will show you what I did for 2022, because I definitely upped what I did from 2021 for my 2022 book tracking. So as you can see, everything is already formatted nice and pretty. I like to do a nice thick border at the end of the month to kind of separate out between the months. Once I'm done with a month and I don't need anything else, I will hide that entire month. I have everything unhidden right now, and you'll just hide the rows, and then you can see your current active month, and it's not a big deal. You can access everything. And I've got all of this, and then we've got all of our, I guess I didn't take very many notes. Yep, I had just a couple of extra notes, but I like to add that column there. So yeah, that is how the Google form, once all of your responses are here. And then if you accidentally double enter somebody, you can remove a line. It's no big deal. So then we come to my favorite page to set up and have fun with, and that is statistics. And yes, I have all the months color coded, but I just do it in a big kind of table. And I have it for every single month and then the entire year. So we've got books read, pages, total pages, average days, rereads, new books, new authors, clubs, readathons, diversities. Then we've got ratings, page counts, genre breakdown, contemporary breakdown, owned, format, publication, and then publication decades. And then I had all of these fun different kind of charts so we can see throughout the year what's kind of going on. Different bar charts, pie charts, all sorts of stuff. I had everything at some point color coded, but the color coding got a little away from me on the charts, but that's fine. So that's how I end up setting it up. So when it's time for me to pull stats, I have my template that already has like the headers and the questions that I'm answering based on like how many books did you read, how many pages was the total, and stuff like that. I can just pull up my stat sheet and just jot down the information, fill it in from my spreadsheet, which is super nice. I also had a blog tracking, and I have hidden the first 3 quarters, but this is for review. So if it's prepped, if it's written, if the review is written, prep is where I get the formatting down, the blurb, and my opening and closing with the stats that I put on my, and then I get like the picture uploaded and stuff. And then the actual review, if that's written, then I'll check that. And then once I post it, I check that. So this is, you can tell I kind of dropped off of my reviews a quarter for sure. And then when I was doing other types of posts on my blog, then I would have this that just kind of was constantly running. That was different wrap-ups and readathon announcements and things like that. So these are all the reviews that I'd like to eventually get caught up on in 2023. And then the last page that I keep is, I labeled it want to own, because usually that's the only thing that's here is my want to own pivot table. So when it comes to what I'd like to do is at the end of every month look at all the books that I have wanted to add to my wish list and double check and make sure that I've added them to my wish list. I have not done that very much at all through 2022. But I have the table here constantly, and this is just like Alyssa Thorne. I read Darkest Night and I want to own Darkest Night, so I want to make sure that that is on my wish list, which I know for sure that one is because all of hers are in bind-ups. And then I created some other different pivot tables that I was editing when I was working on trying to find like my favorite authors, my most read authors, and that kind of stuff. So this is just kind of a work space sheet that I use to pull from the data of the responses page and find whatever type of information I might need a little easier, because it's just so easy to pull up a pivot table, and if you're just like, show me all of the, I don't know, so this is all new to me authors that were published in 2022. So that's what this is. So this was helping me figure out the new to me authors that I read. And it's a lot quicker to look at this really small list of things than go through all 200 books I read in the year looking for each one that has yes under new to me author. So I really do, if you're interested in stats, anything fun like that, I really enjoy. I mean, I love using spreadsheets anyway, but I highly recommend, if you're into that kind of thing, trying this system out. And if you need any help, I mean, I do very simple average and total formulas. You don't need anything super crazy. I think the biggest ones are the totals for a month, because you specifically want to get them in the month, so you have to do the count if ones. But even then, that's not super high level Excel formulas. I just try to keep it simple, because it doesn't need to be, I don't need to spend half the year setting this up. And what's really nice is, because this is set up the way that I have it set up, is I can do the formula for January, and then I just copy it and I paste it in every single one, and all I have to do is change the dates. So instead of it being count the total of pages that are in the responses of page total from every book that I read that was finished before and on January 31st. So then every other row, I just have to change it to before or on or after February 1st to before or on February 28th, and that kind of a thing. So it's super easy. I mean, you have to add that one date going from January to February, but after that, the rest of them are there. And then once you get to 2022, you just get rid of the dates. It's just the sum of the pages. So I love it. This is the second year that I've done a full-blown spreadsheet. I've kind of kept little stat stuff myself without using Excel, which was super fun to do, and I kind of gave up on it quickly. But once I kind of switched to this format, and then I was like, oh, I know. Instead of entering them in manually into a spreadsheet, it's so much easier to do that Google form. It's so much quicker. The questions are a little more obvious in what you're needing. I highly recommend using the Google form to get your data into your sheets, because it just, for me at least, it's so much easier. So let us stop there for how I track my books, and let's go over the digital journal that I put together. So, like I mentioned, I made this in Canva. I will link to a couple sites down below. A lot of the artwork and clip art and journal kinds of things that I used in here are either from Canva itself, free downloads or free art from Creative Fabrica, which you can get a free account for, and there's a bunch of free different types of artwork and digital stickers, and there's so much on there. And I also used some things from Happy Downloads, which is a specifically digital planner only store. And she sells like full cute packs. However, she has a huge section of freebies. And I got the freebies that look super cute to me. And I'm starting with those. And then if I end up using hers a lot, then I will give in and pay for a full digital planner sticker spread that she does. But I was starting free because I don't want to put a bunch of money into it if it doesn't end up being something that I'm into or keeping up with and that kind of a thing. So there are a lot of different free options out there that you can use if you want to get into digital planning. So here we go. I used a wood background so it looks like we're sitting at a table when I'm working on it, and I went with Galaxy because I am a Galaxy person. My phone case is a Galaxy, so it just fit. And I made my planner cover, and then I have this little dark purple strip as like the binding, and you'll see this on every single one going down the center as like kind of the seam. So I tried to make it as realistic as possible to an actual planner, but let's just get into it. So first couple pages, I have our first quote page. She reads books as one would breathe air to fill up and live by Annie Dillard. And I found this cute sticker, and it had a couple of little butterflies, and I just cropped it and copied the butterflies and put them all over the place. And then we have my 2023 goals. These are the 3 goals each that I mentioned in a couple of my videos wrapping up the year and talking about what's coming up in 2023, but I wanted to have them in here just as kind of a reference point so I can see them regularly when I flip through. And then we're just going to start off with the yearly stuff first. So I've got my Goodreads challenges. So I went with hearts, and I just kind of made them so that they were big enough that I liked it. And and then I just kind of put little tickers every 25. I wanted to put up to 200, but as you'll see, it does way more than 200. So I just numbered them all. And then down here, these hearts, of course, down here at the bottom, they are... Go away, please. They are the colors that I'm using for the months. So we've got January, February, March, April, all the way through. And then that way, having them down here, they're also the same size. So I can just copy and paste them or move them up. But also having them on the page means that it's in your used colors section on Canva, so then I don't have to try to find and match it, or if I can't, or if it's not up in the top for some silly reason, I can use the little dropper thing and match the color exactly. So we've got that, and I did 2 pages because I wanted at least 20. And then I have the little hearts on both. So then here we go to my 2023 stats. I just kind of left everything blank, and I put in some fake statistics just to kind of make sure that bar charts and things were working correctly. So here's just the list of the stats that I usually talk about. And I just listed them out because I was like, what else do we need to do? And I used those same cute hearts again. And then we also are continuing to use those same color coding for the months throughout these bar charts as well. Or I guess they're not just bar charts. So then I guess I could kind of show you here. So here is my ratings chart. I went with a stacking bar chart, and this will be for the year. So as you can see, this blue is for January. So if there are pink 4 stars, it will stack on top of it, but it will be pink. And then here we've got stacking genre bar chart. So this is a horizontal bar chart. And then here is a pie chart for the breakdown of contemporary romance. And each little sub-genre will have its own color. So that's the one that won't fit with our normal key. And I try to put the key on every page that I use it on. Here we've got... I don't know what this one is. This one is our own wish list and buy soon. I can try to see if I edit them to see what they are, and I can share that. So this one is, I have the page locked. Okay, so this one is physical, ebook, audiobook, combo, and other. So that was also something that I wanted to fix, is because I have been doing more reading along with audiobooks, so I want to get that added to my stats as well if I do both. And then this one is decades published. So we will get back full screen here and continue on. Okay, and here's more continued stats. So we've got type of publisher. This one is character age groups. We've got page breakdowns, and then where located. And that's it for stats. Now here is the spread I put together for my library tracking. Now I can check out via my library 10 Hoopla items a month. So I did 10 of the statistic icon things. So each one is its own row and it's out of 10. So all I have to do is go into Canva, edit it similar to like I did with that chart, and change how many ones are done. So I can do 4, I can do 5, and then it will auto color code, and I have them also color coded to the same 12 hearts. And then here I just did this little coffee cup icon. It was just a black and white image graphic, and I just turned them gray for being blank, and I will color them in. I can check out 10 books at a time from Libby, but it's not in a month. So it's constantly kind of rolling based on what you have. And I don't have any goal really for Libby outside of I want to use the library more. So I thought it'd be a fun way to track how this works. And I might need to add an additional page for Libby depending on what happens, but I know this is the max that I can get from Hoopla unless they have bonus checkouts again. Then I don't know what I'm gonna do, but that is what I have for my library tracking because I would like to do more for that. And now we get into my favorites. So I have been doing my favorites of 2022 and I do it via a bracket. So I wanted a quick overview of books that I choose as my favorites in each genre. And I used Madness of the Horde King because it was the cover at the top of my uploads to just kind of figure out sizing and how I wanted to do it. And when I have my January book here, I will move this little blue heart over and put it up in the corner so I know this is January, this one's February, and all of that. And then I also chose washi strip tapes to correspond. So this blue heart washi will go to contemporary. The green leafy stuff will go with fantasy. The brown rose washi will go with historical. And so I just kind of set up my template so that when I get my first books in there, I can resize them and figure out what the spacing is and how big I wanted things to be. And then continuing on, we've got paranormal. So we've got the little heart stamps for those. And I'm using this bat washi. And then for sci-fi, I chose a purple star washi. And then we've got the hearts for that one as well. And we've got extra hearts, I guess, because I was feeling the hearts. But I'll probably go through and delete those just because those are extras. And I wanted to be able to move them over once I made a decision. And then these are the wallpapers and the artwork that I chose for my brackets for 2023. I have not made my brackets yet, but I at least know what pictures I'm going to use for them. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there to kind of fill up this empty space here. And then I usually have space for 4 bonus books if I keep it to the 16 seed brackets and honorable mentions. So I needed an area where I can just add those in. So I figured out my spacing again, and then I will move the washi tape for what genre it is and attach it to the top. So it looks like I taped the little book cover in, and the genre will be corresponding to the washi tape, and then I'll add a little heart so I know what month it was just for fun. Although it's not as necessary with my bonus books and honorable mentions. But, you know, I just like data. So, and that is that. And then we've got new authors. So this will be a section of new to me authors, but more specifically ones that aren't debut authors in 2022 or 2023. And then I want to keep over on this side my 2023 debut authors, just so I can give a little extra shout out to them. And then these are new authors that I am interested in, whose books have covers so far in 2023. We'll see how many I will, when it comes to the end of the year, I will hopefully will not have this many in here, but even if I do, I will pare it down to just a couple to talk about when it comes to my wrap-up videos. And then here we get into my yearly challenges. So I wanted to do a couple little spreads for those. So we have Romanceopoly. First off, I put a copy of the board, did some little decoration, used some of their artwork they have. And then I have this little cat icon, and I made it gray because my kitty's gray. And I will be kind of marking where I'm currently at in the board on this. So right now I'm on BFF's house. And then once I complete it, I haven't decided if I'm going to like make the kitty black and leave it sitting there and then move the gray one to where I actually move. So then the board will like eventually be full of cats, or if I'll just continue to move my little kitty icon. I haven't quite decided yet because I haven't finished the first book challenge yet, but there is that. And then here I took their PDF of their cards and I cropped them all down, and I just put all of my information here. And once again, I just kind of did placeholder information that we can come in and edit. So the only one that's different is BFF's house, because I rolled that on January 7th, and then I'll be able to put the book I read and the date I finished it. Just, it's like a catch-all for what we've got. So we've got all of the cards there, and then we have Gildathon. That's the other yearly challenge I will be participating in. So here are the prompts, here are the basic rules that I have, and then I just did notebook paper, and I will just come in and I will write the name and the title, the prompt, how many points I got from it, and then I will do an constantly updating point total here just for fun. And then I made quite a few pages. And then here we come to January. So I stopped at January. I have not touched February yet. So here is our home page. These are outside of the January itself. I changed the colors on the January thing. This is from Canva, but the rest is from Happy Downloads. So definitely check them out. They have really pretty stuff. Most of the stuff I used in January is from them. So here are my book club and read-alongs section for my January TBR, which I will do check marks from. I've read 2 of the 3 books for the Vampire Academy read-along, so that's why they're a little off-centered, because I needed space for one more check mark there. Then I've got my ongoing challenges that I'm participating in. And then if I finish one, or if I complete one, if it's only a read one book kind of a situation, I'll also like check it off. And then I added this little sticky note sticker here just for some extra things. And here I have an arc for Bound to the Fey King, but I wanted to read A Bargain with the Fey King first. If there's new releases that are coming out that aren't mentioned in one of the other ones already, I'll put that here. So that's kind of just a random other books I want to take note of that I'd like to get to in January. And then here's how I will be keeping track of the books that I read that I will be using for my wrap-up videos. So I try to keep it simple. I have the number of the book it is, so first book of the year, and then I have the cover, and then I do the character names, if it's in a series, the series name, what number it is, and then my star rating, and I leave it at that. So as you can see, I finished 3 books so far, and then I have the 4th book prepped. And then once again, I have little washi strip tapes here. And when we come to the end of the month, if I don't have the time to immediately go to the other page and add in what my favorite book is, I want to move the washi tape over to mark it as this is my favorite paranormal of the month. This is my favorite contemporary of the month. Just so it'll be easier for me to kind of spot when I'm trying to compile information in the different areas. And then I usually need 2 spreads, so I prepped the second spread as well, and I just copied this so I had the correct formatting and spacing that I'm liking for that. And then we've got my January stats, which I will go through and update around the middle of the month, the end of the month, whenever I want to. I can just come through and edit the stats as I need to from my spreadsheet, which is super nice. And then once again, I just kind of threw in a bunch of random stats so I can mess with the boards, see what I like the colors for. So here's genre breakdown, here's contemporary breakdown, owned. So this is yes and ordered, and books I've added to my wish list. And then we've got more January stats, so page breakdown, ratings. This is character ages, type of publisher, decades published, how I read it, where it's located, and that's it. So that's all I really have. And then I did like outgoing quote page at the end. Give me a night by the fire with a book in my hand. That's from Mark Halperin from Winter's Tale. And then I kept the same layout as my opening January page, just to kind of close off January. Now there will be some slight differences here, and then I have a couple blank pages that I just kind of have prepped. And then there's the end. We come to the end of the planner, and this is my I have notes everywhere in real life. So I wanted to do a little sticky note here. These are my ideas for themes for the different months. So in February, it's Valentine's Day. So I wanted to do, I love cats and I love my kitty. So I wanted to do a cat Valentine theme. March, I was going to do some of my favorite TV shows. So Psych, Buffy, things like that. And I just have some ideas of kind of themes I want to go for. But, you know, things could change, but it's just some ideas. But I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing that I will also be adding that isn't really covered here are readathons. There aren't any short readathons I'm participating in January. But what I have done in the past, I can kind of show you, is I will do a little header and put them in my books read. Now, depending on what's going on, so here's my wrap-up notes, for example. And I didn't do a readathon in December, but I know I did the fanfiction readathon in November, I believe. So this is the old format, so it's similar to what I did this year. But I just kind of changed it, so instead of it being a bunch of different pages, so like here we go. Here's my fanfiction readathon stats. Oh, we're freaking out here. And so I just usually put a clip of some of the artwork that's created, or one of the templates that's created for the readathons, and I just kind of separate them out from everything else. And I'll probably still do that in my wrap-up section. I may or may not do a full spread for that. If there are bingo templates and things like that, I will probably continue to do those separately, like for No Resolution January, which I haven't even gotten any of the books I've read in here because I haven't posted anything on Instagram in a while. But I will still continue to kind of use those types of things separately. I just don't know if I also want those in with my reading journal yet, but we'll see once I kind of get. The only readathon I know coming up that I will be participating in is FaroFeb, and that's Fantasy Romance February. So I will be reading fantasy romance all February. Not that I don't read it all year long anyway. But once again, that's a long one, so I don't think it really needs a dedicated spread for it on top of all the books I read, but I still have some tweaks to do, so we'll see once I kind of get into the throw of things how I actually want them to kind of be worked on. So that's it. That's how I have tracked my books, and I'm planning on continuing to track my books in some new ways I'm going to track my books coming up for 2023, and hopefully things kind of go as I hope them to. I definitely see some areas where I already kind of want to streamline some things. I think when it comes to my reading journal, I'll probably stick to updating that, I don't know, like once a week, every other week, something like that. That's not something that I will be doing as constantly as my Google form and my Google Sheets information, but I am pretty excited for the way that it turned out. I had a lot of fun doing it. It took forever, but I also was like very subconscious about what I was doing, and I was like, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I want this. And then finally I just put on an audiobook and worked on it and stopped kind of comparing it to other people, especially people who were hand drawing it, because I was like, no, that's not my thing. But yeah, I am very happy to see how it kind of goes, and we'll see how good I am at keeping it updated. But I'm hoping that it will help save me from having notes in all of my different real life planners and a billion different kinds of notes for the spreadsheets and having a favorites list and all of these other things. I'm hoping I can kind of get everything compiled into the one. One thing I didn't go over is my backlist authors and my series I'd like to continue. Currently, I have most of them in just Google Docs, and when I finish a book in the series or in a backlist author, they're all in different Google files, except for my series one has just lists all of the series. I highlight them so that I can show them as being done. But I am changing. I have started the integration of moving them over into an Excel spreadsheet just because I love spreadsheets, and it'll be a lot easier for me to deal with than 20 million different freaking documents. I can just have it on one spreadsheet. So that is a ongoing long project that I am hoping maybe to do an author or a letter a week. So all my A authors, all my B authors, and I'm starting with the series because that's the long one, and go from there. But once I get that updated, I'll show you how I do it, and I'll probably do another video explaining all that too. But if you're interested in it, let me know down below. And if you have any tips, tricks, or anything that you think would be interesting for me to track that I don't already have on there, definitely let me know. Like I said, if you're interested in the Google form, I have that copy one linked in my link tree. It's there all year round. If you want to see what some of my previous ones are, let me know. I can send you, I still think I have copies of those, or I can make a copy of the one that I used. And yeah, so if you would like to leave a comment down below, please do so. Otherwise, you can leave like a nerdy emoji, whatever you want to choose, a bar chart, a graph chart, numbers, whatever you want. But otherwise, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you all very soon.